Good morning, fellas.
Morning, morning,
Morning,
morning.
everyone.
Good morning, mom. First as usual. You be here before some of them get on the call. So good morning, mom. Good morning, fellas. So welcome to another team meeting where our mission is to distract you from your current story, dismantle your current belief systems, and inspire you to change your mind, which will then inspire you to change your life. All of the places you can follow us: IG, Facebook, YouTube, Game 7 Shop, where you can get all of your Game 7 apparel. Our mission is to serve. So we love the likes, we love the comments, we love the engagement. But please share so we can get in front of more people. The more people we are in front of, the more people we can serve. So the topic for today is, at least partly, what does it take to be disciplined? What does it take to be disciplined? So this week, after like forever and a half, I finally finished the Snowball book. It's a biography, I guess, of about Warren Buffett. It's like 800 pages, the longest book I ever read. Took forever, bro. Took forever, and it's kind of fitting to Warren Buffett and his strategy. It was really linear and like slow. I did this, and I did that, and I did this, and I did that. I did this, and I did that. Like all small increments, and like his number one rule is to not lose money. Like never went backwards. But I definitely have a newfound respect for him and his methods. And whenever you read that, if you do one day, you'll see why the other whatever top five richest dudes in the world got divorced and took that L. You'll see why he didn't take that L. But you got to read it to find out. But it was just a long, monotonous kind of book. It's real fitting, Snowball. Like he built a snowball throughout his life. And then this week, I started a book called Winning by Tim Grover, who was Michael Jordan's trainer, Kobe's trainer, D Wade's trainer, and now he does a lot of corporate training with CEOs and such. He does athletes, but I guess maybe because he's getting older, he's shifting to a lot of corporate training. And both of those messages, in different ways, they talked about winning and discipline, and that's what inspired me to look into the topic for the week. So, first, motivation. Motivation, all it does is get you going. Right? It'll get you in the league. It'll get you to the gym. It'll get you to go buy a book. The perfect example of this is the motivation for the general public is January 1st. Right? My week year resolution. Right? My new year resolution. Just because it's a new day, on a new year, I'm motivated to do XYZ. And because it's 2021 or 2022, the next one, this is what I'm going to do. I'm motivated because the calendar flipped over. And as we all know, January 1st, well, not January 1st, January 2nd, usually people start doing what they do. And they'll do it for a day, they'll do it for a week, they'll do it for a month, they may do it for 90 days. But then almost always, speaking to the masses, they stop because the motivation ran out. Oh, we've been in 2021 for 30 days now. So I'm going to just wait till December 31st and I'm going to get motivated again. But the difference is discipline. Discipline keeps you growing. All right. So motivation gets you going, but discipline keeps you growing. We all have things that we started at and we didn't finish, right? Usually the harder things. And it's almost always the harder things that give you the big returns. But a lot of us stop because we're only motivated. So we're going to talk about how can you bridge that gap from being motivated to being disciplined, right? And like you'll often hear me say, you got to be a dog. And what I mean by a dog is that you're disciplined mentally, physically, financially, emotionally, and spiritually, if that's something that resonates with you, right? Not lacking in no areas. You may not be a finished product in each area, but for example, Everybody dive into business, but some people might pick up a book and then they'll stop reading. Or we don't even got to talk about physical fitness, right? People don't want no smoke with that, right? So a lot of people lacking a dog in certain areas, right? So you can be great at one thing and disciplined in one thing, but to be a disciplined person, we're talking mentally, physically, financially, emotionally, and spiritually. So, what bridges the gap between the two? So, patience and persistence is what bridges the gap between motivation and discipline, right? Because motivation, you don't really have to be patient because it's an in the moment kind of thing. You watch the ET video, your dad talked to you, your mom talked to you, or you saw your uncle die, and the doctor said that his arteries were clogged because of Soul Food Thursday at your grandma's crib, right? So, oh, next week I'm not gonna eat that. I'm gonna eat before. I'm gonna go do the family thing, but I'm gonna cool out because uh, uncle whoever died. You know, but a couple weeks later, you right back at it. You know, you were not persistent. So we're going to talk about how you can be disciplined and graduate from motivation by being patient and persistent. So before we get there, let's talk about discipline. So Tim Grover said this: motivation is for those who haven't decided whether to commit to their goals or how much time, effort, and life they're willing to invest to achieve them. I'm not measuring their level of success. Someone can be broke, out of work, overweight, in a bad situation, and they can be extremely motivated to change that. But I'm talking about their need to have others push them into action with a swift kick in the behind. Right? So you can be as motivated as you want to be, but if you're motivated, you have to get it from somewhere else. Like we told whoever was on the workout yesterday, we've been doing the free workouts for 8 months now. If you still look the same and you out of shape, you've been bluffing because you wait till Saturday morning because that's your motivation. If you was doing this every day, like we suggest for 8 months, and you came in looking bad, you should look amazing now. But that's the easiest way to get results is to start out of shape. You can drop 30 pounds in a month if you're out of shape. If you in shape, you're gonna, you're chasing a much, 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 much smaller percentage. But if it's just not falling off of you, you're not being disciplined because you're waiting for Saturday. You need to get that external motivation. And then those who know me, whenever somebody makes a miraculous change, I always say they made a decision. And one day you get fed up, you make a decision, and everybody will know. Something that always sticks out to me, somebody I trust and respect. But when I made the shift, G would always say, "Yo, Malk, you different now. Yo, Malk, you different now." Right? Because it was obvious. I made a decision not to be the same. I graduated from being like disciplined in general and smart in general to being intentional and relentless on a daily basis. And I let everybody else know. Something about me, I will tell. It may not be that many people that see it, but I put it out there for the public. This is what I'm going to do. Therefore, I have to do it. Because if I don't want to do it, now I'm looking like a nut to everyone else. I'm talking about motivation, discipline, leadership, and everything else, and I'm not doing it myself. So motivation is something that comes from outside. Discipline comes from inside. All right. So great things take time. You must have patience with yourself. It takes time to install new habits and alter your reward system. Right. So it's scientifically proven that it takes 100 straight days to rewire your brain to kill an old habit and to develop a new habit. All right. So if you're struggling physically, you haven't worked out for 100 straight days yet. Like it's not part of your routine. You can't even make it to 7, right? So you have no right complaining about your physical health, right? Or you're not financially fit. You haven't looked at financial information for 100 straight days, let alone 7, right? You want CNBC, you want Benzinga, or you paper trading, or you really whatever. Then things will start to change. The first thing that's going to shift is your knowledge. Right? Very, very rarely are the results going to change first. Like in school, you get tested after you learn. In life, you get tested before you learn. Right? So you have to be patient with yourself and give yourself time to change your habits, number one. And then number two, you have to change your reward system. Our natural reward system is wired for immediate rewards. Right? Saturday morning we got the workout call. Um, it was my wife's birthday last night. I'm gonna skip this one, even though I'm out of shape. Right? I got an excuse. Right? So my reward is that extra rest. Right? But you keep having that mindset. The next year at your wife's birthday party, you looking weak because you ain't put the work in. Right? But then one day you shift. Oh well, I know I can look better next year for a birthday party. I can be here for more birthdays, right? And I'll be able to support her better. Oh, the reward system is different. So many people have a much, much better relationship with their bed than they do with their dreams. Once you can shift that, then you can allow yourself to be patient with yourself. And maybe I'm getting ahead of myself, but as I'm talking about patience, you got to hurry up and be patient. Because if you're not persistent, you're not working every day, you're not waiting for nothing. You just bluffing. You waiting. It's different if you're working every day, every day, every day, every day, because you know that opportunity is coming. But if you're not preparing for that opportunity, you are not being patient. You are just waiting. You are waiting for God to just drop the gift that you've been waiting on in your life. So you're not being patient. It's like the cake example. You put all of the ingredients, you went to the store, you got everything, and now it's in the oven and you're cooking it. Now you're being patient. But if you don't get all the ingredients and put it together first, you're not being patient. You waiting, you hoping and wishing and waiting for dreams to come true. And next, keep doing it. Be persistent. Be tenacious. Be patient. Keep doing it until whatever you're shooting to do, until it happens. And by the time you get there and understand that journey, you're immediately going to go into the next one. So a lack of patience is the worst enemy to ambition. And patience doesn't allow room for ambition. So say you do make that decision. You out of shape, or you're out of emotional shape. You start going to counseling, therapy, whatever the case may be, and you went 30 days straight. But now you're disappointed because you don't have the results that you want yet. Right? You got to be patient during the process. You're doing the work. As long as you know you're doing the work, you can be patient. But if you're getting antsy about your results, you're not doing enough work. CP3, if you're familiar with basketball, is the perfect example. He's persistent. He's tenacious. Team after team. He changes every team. I know me and G used to always get into it all the time. Like, give that man some respect. G ain't really messing with him at first. I don't know what he think now, but it's finally coming to fruition, right? Patience and persistence. But patience only counts as patience if you are persistent. So how do you be patient? How do you be patient? So number one, know when an opportunity is right, and you also got to know when more preparation is needed. So for example, just because you're a chef doesn't mean you're ready to run a restaurant. Right? This is my problem. This is my problem with the typical black restaurants that I've been to. Right? So you get there, right? You had a long conversation with your girl trying to figure out what she want, where you want to go, going back and forth. Y'all know how that go. All right, boom. I want to go to a black-owned restaurant. Cool. Let's eliminate 80% of these. And I want to get I seen on Instagram they keep posting it. They got this salmon, right? They got this salmon and greens or something, right? So let's go there and let's get these salmon and greens. But then when you get there, and the restaurant don't close till 10 o'clock. You got there at 7:30, 2.5 hours early. Oh, I'm sorry. We only got shrimp left. We don't have that salmon and green special that's all over Instagram and we advertising. We ran out and we just turned off the seafood of it. We got 2.5 hours left, right? Now she blown. My man looking like, yo, what I'm supposed to do now? And my man, he's like, yo, we got the last one. I'm lucky, but I feel your pain. He over there watching, right? Yo, just because you can cook doesn't mean you're ready to run a restaurant. You might be a chef, but you don't got your logistics ready, right? Or you don't have the proper managers to get all the orders in, whatever the case may be, right? So there was more preparation that was needed. So know when the time is right. You might just need to become a chef under a business owner that you respect, right? And then after a year or two, I would have ran out of salmon if I only got with the the restaurant in another area with different demographics had. But over here, we got more people that eat seafood because it's Maryland over there. Everybody eats seafood. I might need to double that, right? Some things you learn, so you got to be patient. So number two, remain alert, even if opportunity doesn't come right away. Keep your eyes open because the opportunity of a lifetime only lasts for the lifetime of opportunity, right? When Drew Bledsoe got knocked out, literally, Tom Brady was ready. It was over. Bledsoe, you're going to Dallas, right? He was prepared for it. Even though everybody slept on him, his 40 was trash, his combine, like aesthetics, everything was just wrong. He wasn't supposed to be who he was supposed to be, right? But he was prepared above anything else, and he maximized his skills, which is clearly mental. He can throw, but he's who he is because of his mental. Or over here, Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers was on the bench for like 4 years or something before he finally got his opportunity. Got in game one, it was over, right? But they didn't cry, they didn't whine, they was patient. But remember, it only counts if you was prepared. If they were just chilling, oh, I'm the backup. When my time comes, I'm gonna start working out. I'm gonna start learning the plays. They wouldn't have capitalized on that opportunity of a lifetime because they was chilling. They wasn't being patient if you're not working. So once again, I want to overemphasize that you must be working to be patient. Otherwise, you bluffing. You waiting, you hoping, and you dreaming. So you must be working as if you're already there. Keep preparing for opportunities, even if there is a delay. All right, this is definitely a space where we are on the call. It's like, yo, we've been hitting our heads at this same level for a minute now, and we just waiting for that breakthrough. We had this focus kind of point in our life, like KG. Like, yo, I don't really have the results I want as an athlete yet, but everybody know I'm showing up every day and I'm putting in work. And then one day when the opportunity comes, somebody else who's in a position to help you win, they choose you because you was persistent while you were patient. And then you end up becoming a champion. And that's something I feel is next coming for Dame if they're not going to be bluffing and losing to Nigeria over the summer and killing your free agency stock. But you got to prepare even if there's a delay. Because you never know when that time is going to come. Oh, I'll wait till I get this check. Or I'll wait for my tax returns. Or I'll wait until XYZ. You can't wait. You got to prepare because you never know when you're going to get that call. You never know when that opportunity is going to come. Take the little setbacks in stride. You're going to take an L here and there. Take the little successes too in stride. All right? You're going to get some dubs here and there. But don't let the small disappointments discourage you. And don't let the little successes delude you. Right? So don't be happy that you finally made it to the room and you're sitting with the managers. You don't own it yet. And don't be happy that you made it to the league. You're not a champion yet. And don't be happy that you're a champion because you're not a Hall of Famer yet. And this all directly depends on how big your goals are. Because if your goal is just to make it, all right, once you make it, you're there. But you got more life left, right? So if you haven't hit that ultimate pinnacle yet, remember, the job is not finished. So just because you checked off a box, it doesn't mean that you completed the mission. And if you complete your mission so early, your mission was too small. So you got to have big, big goals and be persistent in pursuing them so that you can be patient. Next, if you're waiting on the decisions of others, if you're in a job hunting process, if you're searching for a home, if you got a teacher or a professor or an admin who has your work and then they're waiting to turn it back over to you, be patient. Be patient. You can't control the decision-making abilities of somebody else, and you can't control their timing. Control what you can control. While you're waiting on one thing, work on the next thing. If the agony of waiting for that one thing is killing you so much, you got to do something else, right? Never put all your eggs in one basket. What you're doing, it may not work. You got to accept that from the jump, right? You want it to, but it may not. But don't focus on waiting on other people if they're involved in your process. And if you got big goals, it's almost always going to involve somebody else. So just focus on controlling what you can control. Because when you do get selected, if you prepare, you let everybody know that they missed an opportunity and that you shouldn't have been waiting for as long as you was waiting. Next, this is a struggle for me. Take a vacation from your ambition. The patient person, securing their ambition, knows that the drive will still be there after some time off. The ambition will even be stronger than it was before when you come back to it. Right? So if you're persistent, let's say vacations, if you're persistent between vacations, ideally your next vacation will be better. Right? So then when you come back, oh, all right, for next time I gotta have another G in the budget so we can go to that top floor and we can get our own pool, right? Or we can get on a different plane, or we can go to a different location, right? So you work, and not just work to get to that vacation, right? Because I believe you should only take vacations if you earned it. Otherwise, what are you taking a vacation from? But that's just my personal opinion. So take a vacation from your ambition only if you've been persistent between time. So summary: knowing the opportunity is right and knowing you have to prepare for more. And remember, like, things are not a quick turnaround. Like, if you got these big goals that goes the opposite way of what you've been doing for 30 years, don't expect for that to flip over in 30 days. It's just not realistic. Stay alert. Even if the opportunity doesn't come today, you got to stay prepared for it. Keep preparing. You're probably going to have to wait. Little setbacks, cool. Little victories, cool. Disappointments, cool. It's all part of the process. If you're waiting on other people, keep working and just make sure you can control. No, make sure you do control what you can control. And every now and then, if you're doing what you're supposed to do, take a vacation. All right. So that's my my outlook on patience. So let's go from bottom to the top. GKG Pizzle Just.
All right, so I wrote down four things, and I wrote them down early in your your speech, and you touched on a few, but I'm still gonna run through them in no particular order. The first one is on your journey, whether you know where you want to go in the end or not, try to find a mentor. And you hear this all the time, and this is something that I professionally had never really actively pursued until recently. Like literally a month ago, I reached out to somebody, say, "Hey, I like your management style. I see a lot of myself and how you manage. Would you mind meeting monthly to, just to give me some advice?" And the person was super open to it. And in our first discussion, I found out that he selected a mentor who I worked with in the past and I have great respect for. So it's almost like it continues to get paid forward. So if you have big ambitions and you see somebody else, regardless of demographic, regardless of age, doing something similar to you, or what you want to do, reach out to that person and just ask if they can help out. Second thing on my list, I have a goal, dream, but do it with action. A lot of people have these big goals, big ambitions, and that's all it is. It's just a dream. You think about it at night. You say you want to do it, but are you taking actions to get closer to it? Are you doing the research? Are you talking to people? Are you reading books? Whatever it is, like whether your goal is big or small, always make sure you're taking actions towards obtaining that goal. The third one, which is big, see the opportunity in your failures. A lot of people, when they fail, it means now I can't do it. It means, this isn't for me. But usually when you fail, you learn the most. Whether you learn what to do differently or you learn what not to do, um, those failures are usually just as productive or helpful as your successes. And finally, one thing that I subscribe to, I know pretty much everyone on the call does too, and we talk about this in the group chat, over deliver, bro. Like if you're trying to go to the next level at your job, if you're doing your own business, If you're working on a group, over deliver, because when that next opportunity comes, that step up will just feel like what you've been doing. So you may have to take a step up to over deliver at the next level, but the next level that you get to, you're already living in that space. So always over deliver. Whether it's trying to get a promotion and you go to your boss and say, "Hey, I'm ready to be a manager," and they say, "Okay, well, we need to see you do that job at this level before we give you the official promotion." If you're over delivering, that's nothing to you. Do it a couple more months, get that promotion. So keep that in mind. Always over deliver.
Dope. I wrote three things down that I want to discuss. Good job, G. The first thing I talked about, I wrote down was intrinsic motivation, and an intrinsic motivation is having that drive within yourself, right? Malcolm earlier talked about people with just normal motivation that jump on our call and things like that. They only jump on the call, or if they watch a video, that has to get someone else. They have to get someone else to get them going. When you have that intrinsic drive within yourself, that means it takes no one. It takes no one to get you what you or where you want to go. You have all of that within you. You have a why. You have a reason why that whatever you want to accomplish, whatever your goal that you set out to set, you have a reason why behind that, and it doesn't need anyone to help you, pat you on your butt, say you're doing a good job. This is all from within you. So that's a huge thing, right? If you know you have these huge desires and dreams, right? The first thing, first and foremost, no one's gonna believe in your dream as much as you, right? So if you're not believing in that and you're not finding it within, it's going to be hard to maintain that when everyone else has to be the reason why you decide to move. Also, another thing that I learned from sports was control what you can control, right? And the biggest thing is all you can control is your effort and your attitude. Everything else is in the air, right? You will only control how fast or how much effort you'll put in, and you can only control the attitude that you're bringing behind it. Just like Malcolm said, if you're waiting for a job, if you're waiting for this next opportunity, you don't know what's coming up. You do not know what's coming up, but the only thing is you can control the work that you put into it and your mindset behind that. The rest is just going to be up in the air for whatever higher being you believe in to decide. So that's number two. And number three, I actually made a reel about this past week in terms of people and not being patient, right? And as I get further along in my fitness journey, people have these gaudy goals like, all right, in 2 weeks, I want to lose 25 pounds because I'm going to my wedding, like, or I have a wedding, right? Like, it's like, yo, like, you haven't worked out for months. Nah, scratch that. You haven't worked out in years, and now you think in 2 weeks, all of a sudden you're gonna get all of these results like that. That is, it's not like that. Like fitness is one of those things, just like life. Like you're not just going to get a crazy fast result because you did 2 sit-ups and now you think you're going to have the washboard abs. You think you're going to have action figure abs because you did 2 sets of sit-ups. And a lot of people disregard the lack of movement, the lack of work that they've been doing, and they just expect because they did something for now a month or a short period of time that they will have that fast turnaround. And in terms of fitness or in terms of anything, you spent so long doing the things that were not matching up with your intentions of whatever your goals are, that you get so upset with yourself that it's going to be you only took 2 weeks in and then you quit. You should be upset with yourself for letting yourself get that far, right? But that's another thing. But just like the key is in order for you to reap the benefits of any of the work that you put in your life, you have to stay patient. You have to remain that, like, yo, like for X amount of time, I wasn't doing what I was supposed to do. So I know that all of a sudden, now that I'm moving in the way that I'm supposed to, it doesn't mean I'm just going to get the results right away. And that's so important in so many aspects of life. But that's something that really connects with me in terms of, jumping into fitness, because a lot of people have these unrealistic expectations that all it is going to take a couple of times in the gym, and then they're going to be this model figure, and that's not the case. And just like the case in financial, emotional, anything that you want to do, it's going to take some time to get you where you want to go. I think it's to KP.
Yep, and that was real good, KG. And G, you had some good points as well. And one of the things I kind of took back was the whole just kind of like remaining alert and being ready to accept your gift, right? Like, I think one of the things people don't realize is that in order to achieve and get to a certain level, you got to have shown that you're able to receive that, right? Like, before you get the promotion, you got to put the work in to show that you're able to take on that position, take on the responsibilities, take on that role, and be able to continue it and better it. And I was taking some notes when I was looking at, like, I look at a lot of things, and G hit a good point when he said to over deliver. It's very, very important to over deliver. And I look at, like, my own personal life. I look at the job situation, where a lot of times I always over deliver, always working. KP working at nights. KP got this job. He had the sandwich shop. He had 1-800 got junk. He doing this, but it's boosting me to a certain level, and it's helped me achieve certain things in life. And then when I look at even like photography, right? I started off as an assistant. I did a first photo shoot for $40, right? But I over delivered with it, and that opened up a lot more opportunities to be able to get to the point that I'm at right now. So that's very, very important. That was a good point, G, that you made. And I always live and abide by that. And another thing that I kind of stuck out to me was to not be satisfied when you made it to the next level. And one quote that I've always said and I always go by is the greatest experience someone can have is the next one, right? Because when you get to a certain level, it's cool, celebrate, take it in, you know what I mean? Maybe spend 24 hours. That's usually my rule. Take 24 hours, celebrate, embrace it. And then after that, look for the next thing. You should never be satisfied. You should never be comfortable. And you should always be looking to progress yourself and move yourself up. So that was the two things that kind of resonated with me that was said earlier. And I mean, I think those are just two great things to live by and to go with. Just never be satisfied. Continue to go. When you get up to that next level, just keep pushing. And always look for the next best thing to guide you.
All great points, fellas. Couple notes that I put down while I was thinking about this conversation was that it's extremely important to be active during your patience, right? To see the word patient very, very differently when you are trying to get to another level. If you happen to be an everyday individual, working class person, or maybe you're lower on the socioeconomic status, there are norms that surround people who are in that world or at that stage of life, right? And patience for many people at that stage means waiting, means just holding steady, not really making any kind of movement during that time frame. But it means something completely different for people who are in different stages and levels in life, to be honest with you. I've learned that it's important to be extremely, extremely active during that time because patience pays. But when you do it the right way. So you want to be patient with your outcome, but you don't want to be patient with your actions. Okay. You may be waiting for a goal to be reached, waiting for a specific outcome to be reached. However, you have to have a relentless pursuit to that goal in the process of reaching that outcome. That is part of the patient, though. That is part of the patient phase of it. Yes, I'm not there yet, but day in and day out, I am putting the actions that I can right now in the current time and space that I'm in, regardless of what situation I'm in, no matter where I live, no matter what my environment looks like, no matter what resources I have, I am maxing out everything around me in order to move one step closer, 2 steps closer, 1% closer, 2% closer to that goal or that outcome that I've decided that I want. Now, that becomes extremely, extremely dependent How you react in that situation really depends on these three situations to me. In your current situation, are you not happy? In your current situation, are you just not comfortable? Or in your current situation, are you completely disgusted with yourself? Right? Depending on what your answer is to each one of those questions is really going to determine what your movement looks like right now during that patient period. Because if I'm just not happy with my situation, you know, happiness can kind of come and go. There's something very, very small that can happen that takes me from not being happy to, all right, I can kind of be satisfied, because those two areas are very, very close connected, right? If I'm not comfortable, yeah, that's a little bit more than not being happy. But, you know, there's many people who live in this life that are in a constant state of not being comfortable, right? In fact, some people find comfort in being uncomfortable. It's just not enough to move them, though. That's kind of in the space where, you know, you're complaining. Yes, you want to do something about it. You start it, but, you know, you're not consistent with that effort in order to change the situation. But when you're completely disgusted with yourself, when you're disgusted with your environment, you're waking up to something that doesn't make you satisfied. It literally gives you a physical reaction inside your body. You get a mental reaction to where you are or what your reality is. And mentally, it's just taking a toll on you. You are going to make every single effort, utilize every single resource in order to change your reality, or at least attempt to on a daily basis, because that's a space that is extremely, extremely hard to exist in. Sheer disgust. And for me, I've noticed in my journey in life, that is the mind frame that I have been in during every point where I have had massive gains, right? Every one of us on this call has a very different reality than the families we were raised in, right? And all of us got there very, very different, have had our own different paths, right? But for me, it's been extremely, extremely important to experience that level of disgust in order to create movement for me, because it makes the changes that I am looking to experience much more long lasting, and it helps to propel me past the goal that I've set for myself, right? Because by the time that I reach my goal, it no longer satisfies me. The amount of growing that I've done in the process of reaching that goal, I've now got a chance to encounter or conceptualize things that are obtainable past that goal that I set, right? Any goals that you're reaching right now are representative of where your mindset is in this moment. It's what you can see or not see at this moment. But when you commit to growing physically, growing mentally, growing emotionally, what you see that's available grows as well. So that's why you hear people saying that their goals change throughout their life, because they can see something else being a possibility for them, right? So for me, my advice is in that moment, if you're somebody that's coming from, if you're sitting in a place to discuss and you may not have resources or notice how to use resources around you, it's important to find someone who's in a position where you want to be, see how they handle their successes, but also see how they bounce back from their failures, right? Those two things are extremely, extremely important in your journey to experiencing that goal or achieving that goal, because you will get there, right? But what will keep you there is learning how to deal with the success of being there, and then also learning how to bounce back from the failures once you're in that seat or in that position. That's what will keep you there, okay? And it's extremely important because many of us will focus on reaching the goal, and it'll be short-lived, unfortunately, because we weren't prepared to be in the seat once we got there, okay? So there's two forms of preparation. There's the one that is creating the reality that will get you there, but you have to work on becoming and shaping yourself to be the individual that can stay in that role or that position, right? Because that comes with a very, very different set of roles and responsibilities, okay? And just the last thing that I wanted to share was in the form of, in the process of achieving or pushing yourself through all of these different barriers. Yes, it's important to be relentless. It's extremely, extremely important to be consistent, but that is most easily done when you've decided to put blinders on. Okay. We watch horses. We see that they are some of the most powerful, fastest, strongest animals in the world. Yes. Do they get exercise? Yes. But they are just naturally gifted, right? But they are the most gifted at being successful when we see them on ESPN and things of that sort, when they have the blinders on. They are not focusing on who's to the right of them, to the left of them. They're not focusing on anything else but the goal that they have set in front of them. Now, many people will tell you that it is impossible in this life to put blinders on. Oh, you can't do that because I'm such and such. This is a role or position that I play. Oh, I can't do this because I have this person I'm responsible for, or because I live here, or because this. I'm sorry to break the news to you, but the individuals that are in the places where you want to be have much more going on than you. They live a reality that you couldn't fathom on a daily basis. Richard Branson is about to go into space in about an hour or so. You don't think he has more going on than you? This has been a laser-focused goal of him breaking down the barrier of being one of the first humans to ride a commercial vehicle up to space. He's had a number of different responsibilities on a daily basis, but he's kept laser focused on making this goal a reality. And today, in about an hour, the world will get a chance to see the outcome of his long suffering. I'm sure it's been a 20-year goal in the process of achieving, but he's been laser focused. I'm sure he's not waking up scrolling through his timeline. I'm sure he's not spending his off time watching different series on TV and all of the different, time kills that we have that are normal amongst normal people. He's reading. He's connected with individuals who are professionals in that field, experts. He's learning about new technology that's coming up for the future, not in this moment, right? No, don't just be so laser focused on the goal that you have that you don't see the other components that it takes to achieve the goal. Okay. So sorry to be long-winded once again, but I wanted to make sure to share those different aspects with you and understand that it's going to take definitely a relentless approach, definitely a consistent approach, but it's going to take some discuss with your current situation and for you to be completely committed in almost a situation where you have blinders on, where nothing else matters. Obviously, you want to do it in a healthy way, but you don't want to be distracted by all of the other intentional distractions that are out here, like social media, like your environment, like individuals around you who don't share the same vision that you have for yourself.
So real quick, as Justice speaking, and he said one thing that stuck out to me. He mentioned all of our journeys. And I'm thinking, in order to be successful, you have to take risk. So everything we said is super accurate. But I think one of the biggest things that goes into obtaining a level that you have never obtained before is taking a risk. And that risk has to be calculated, but a risk nonetheless. Richard Branson, perfect example. I'm sure he's taking a risk in an hour, like he's going to space. There's probably how many people, 15, 20 people that have been there in the history of life. KP, I always tell you, your story, your photography story, one of my favorite stories of all time. Like, you took a risk and look where it got you. So you can do all the preparation, you can move in all of the right rooms, but at some point, it's going to come down to you doing something that you've never done before, and you gotta take that risk. Exactly. No risk it, no biscuit. That's what it's about.
I'm gonna give you.
Oh,
Sorry.
go ahead, Jess. Go.
All right. Talking about risk. Um, so my educational career has been nothing shy of a blessing. All right. So Malcolm is going to school with me, and he sees that nothing about me is really none of my educational success is really predicated on my intelligence, just all effort. Right. My inability to get things the first time that I read it or I encounter it, it happened to be one of my biggest blessings. So talk about taking a risk. I remember in my it was about November of my senior year undergrad. I decided that I didn't want to work after undergrad because I realized the salary um, expectations or what the realities were for salaries were for my undergrad degree, and it just didn't satisfy me. I had a lot of experience with money at that point, and I could understand what that money meant for me at that time, even though I was extremely poor as a college student. So I decided in November I wanted to go further to earn a master's degree. I've always had a very Napoleon complex about me. I believe that I deserve the best, always, regardless of my current situation. I believe that I deserve the best. So when I looked for opportunities to go to grad school, I looked at the highest performing programs, and one of them was Brown University. Now, mind you, I had the same story as a lot of undergrad students. You get there your first semester, you weren't as successful as you were in high school. Extremely hard to accept that, but you got to find a way to bounce back. So after my first semester undergrad, not doing so well, I created a plan, was extremely, extremely consistent. I made sure I had study halls created for myself every single day, that I worked on the weekends, did work on the weekends and XYZ, didn't go out partying ridiculously, didn't drink, do all of those different things. Long story short, I knew that I didn't have the credentials to be impressive on paper to the individuals at Brown and the program I wanted to attend, because the program only had slots for about 26 people in the entire graduate program. Now you talk about being selective. That is extremely, extremely low odds to be accepted into a program like that, given the amount of people across the world that apply to Brown. So I knew that I had to do something extra. I had to take a risk. So I wrote a very, very intentional email. I had a number of different adults, peers, and other people review the email for me. It took about a week and a half to get feedback and to change it around. And I sent the email to the program manager. It took some time for him to get back to me. He encouraged me to apply. I still knew that my grades weren't impressive. I didn't feel that comfortable. So over Thanksgiving break, I left Virginia Tech early. I hopped in the car from Blacksburg, Virginia, drove to New Jersey, which is about 8 hours. I picked my dad up, drove from Jersey to Rhode Island, which is another 4 hours, just to sit and have a hour-long conversation with the program manager, because I believe that if I got a chance to sit in front of that man and explain to him who I was, the relentless approach that I had, and my commitment to changing my reality from the one that I had been given at birth, that it would be undeniable for him to see past what he's seen on paper and give me an opportunity to be a part of his program as a master student at Brown. I was also very intentional on bringing my dad, because if you see me, I am a brown male. And one thing that we usually lack is male leadership. And what I learned in this game called life is that it's not always about what you bring to the table, but what stock you come from, what cloth you're cut from. That is extremely, extremely important, because it speaks highly about what your moral code is and what your character is, because people are investing in what they don't see you do. Okay. So I made sure that my dad was there. I'm impressive because of the man that my father was. Okay. I talked to him on the way up. I let him know what my game plan was. He sat in the waiting room. When it was his time to come in, my dad was my dad. He didn't do anything different than he had always done. They took us out to lunch. We drove back. I thank God for the opportunity, and I sat back and I waited. I applied. And I wound up getting accepted to Brown. Now I'm gonna tell y'all, I did all of this, and I got into Brown without a 3.0 GPA in undergrad. I didn't wind up having over a 3.0 GPA until my final grades came out my senior year of undergrad. Took 22 credits the last 3 semesters of undergrad to make sure that I could graduate in 4 years. Because for those who don't know, the undergrad system is actually designed for young people to graduate in 5 years. Okay, so I made sure that every summer and for the last 3 semesters that I overloaded my course load so that I can graduate in 4 years, and that I did the extras to get the opportunity to go to Brown, because I didn't believe that going to any school less than an Ivy League would meet the needs of the vision that I had for myself in the future. I was overly committed to it, and I was shameless, and I explained that to the program director, and I'm extremely happy that it was well received. But I also believe that in my faith, that God creates room for those who are willing to put the work in, for those that are committed to doing work that is above and beyond the benefit of themselves. And by making that small sacrifice of a 12-hour drive, being intentional the weeks before, creating a email, allowing other people to be a part of my process, utilizing my resources. And I'm not talking about going to the your ELA teacher or your language arts teacher or anybody else at the university. I'm talking about friends. I'm talking about people that I knew from high school, people that were in the thick of it with me. Any individuals any adults that would listen and I believe could be, a good resource at that time, that I knew that were great writers, right? Utilizing those resources. It didn't cost me a dime. It cost me being shameless, right? Putting my pride to the side and say, hey, look, I'm not really the best with writing this, but I'm more committed to the potential outcome that I am worried about how I look at this moment, right? I was willing to pay the cost at that moment, right? So that eventually I could count this value. Now, the value that I can count at this moment is being able to walk around looking like I look, right? This is pre Black Lives Matter. This is pre, all this diversity, equity, and inclusion work that corporations are doing. Yes, you see me when you're on the other side of the Zoom, when I'm interviewing for positions, role, and other opportunities. You see this. I see what you see. But what you also see is what I put on my resume. And what I put on my resume allows you to look past all of these things and listen to the language that I'm using, how intentional I am with my process, and how relentless I've been. It makes you curious to know how I can go from being a child of 2 teenage parents in a low socioeconomic city to where I've been in my journey today. It makes you curious more so than it makes you turned off by how I look. Now, the reality of that is something I couldn't have done by myself. That fire, passion, and desire that I have in myself has completely come from God. I was born with this. I've been completely disgusted with my reality for the majority of my life. And that's what lights the fire behind my behind every single day. I have the most right now that I've ever had. But there's not an ounce of satisfaction that I feel, because I see myself through the lens of who the man is that I will become. If we talk about that book Snowball that Mount just finished, 800 pages or so, I'm maybe about 150 pages into my life. How dare I have any sense of satisfaction? I'm focused on page 800 and living in that reality. Comfort is the cousin of death. There's absolutely no space and time for that. Do I count my blessings? Kinda. Am I extremely, extremely thankful to God for who he has created me to be and the time and space that I live in right now, of course, I understand the power of now. I understand that tomorrow is not guaranteed. But am I satisfied? Absolutely not. So that constant movement that you see, that constant or that relentless approach to becoming a newer, better version of myself is what you see replicated in Game 7, right? What you see replicated in Malcolm's approach that he's sharing. And all of us on this call, we hop in here every single day, right? Part of the reason why you hear me so raspy today is because I went out for the first time last night to celebrate my wife's birthday, and I haven't been out in maybe 2 years at this point. And I didn't realize that you had to talk over people because of how loud it was. I haven't had to strain my voice in such a long time, right? But for me, you know, that small sacrifice was worth it because this day comes up once a year. But right now it's right back to business. And today is filled with other roles and responsibilities to change my reality. So I offer that story to let you know that it doesn't matter where you're at. It doesn't matter if you don't have the qualifications on the job post. If you want it and you gotta have it, you'll be willing to do what everybody else is not willing to do. Because I can guarantee you that no one else drove over their break to sit in front of that program director at Brown in order to convince him that they deserved an opportunity. Guarantee you. I was in the program with the jokers that got accepted with me. None of them had the role, the relentless approach. Now, were they more impressive than me in other areas? Of course. But I was honest with myself on where I lacked. And I knew I had to overcompensate. I wasn't shamed about being in that space and time of my life. I was committed to getting out of the reality that I was in. So for me, I tucked my tail between my legs. I asked my dad to be a part of my process. I was thankful that he was there in my life at that time because he's not in my life no longer. He's passed away. But for him to be a part of that process is something that I'll always cherish. And when I become a father, that experience will influence the way that I lead my children. And for them to shape how they see opportunities and how they perceive limitations. Because on paper, there's nothing that you could do to explain to me or anyone else that I deserve the opportunity that I got. Nothing. But when you go above and beyond, not just the call of duty, but what is expected or even fathomable to people in positions of power, that's what makes you stand out from the rest of the crowd, right? So I offer that to you. I hope that didn't just move you, but it informs your practice. It informs how you move forward, right? Everything that you want, it's not by happenstance, right? The desires that you have in your heart, the passions that you have, you didn't give them to you. You didn't give them to you. It's something that you're supposed to manifest. It's something that you're supposed to stand in and that be your reality. You understand? You have a given life and then you have an earned life. Don't just accept the given life that you have. Please don't. Right? Don't die with that. Don't die with that extreme, that sense of dissatisfaction and disgust that most people experience on their deathbed. They see life at that moment through what it could have been. So we all have the time and space. God has spared us, this time and space that we're in with COVID and things are all the different challenges that we have in us. I mean, after us in society right now. Count it for what it is, and just be relentless in your approach, whatever that looks like for you. That's just what it looked like for me in that one time and space in my life. Appreciate y'all listening.
All right, as you would say, all great points, Just. All great points. And Just, I'm gonna just say it to you now. I know you know him, but Andy Frisella. So this is what I want you to do. Like, we'll just have to take a note and we'll have to get it together. But I'm gonna give you the password to this joint, right? To the StreamYard. And I want you to, when you feel some kind of way, I just want you to turn it on and go live and just start rapping. I want you to be able because like you got a gift, you know. As I always tell you, I mean, you're learning to accept it, but like every time you talk, you just it just you string it together. So I'm gonna challenge you. You got the mic. If you feel in a way where you know you're emotionally under control, but you got something on your mind, I just want you to go live, bro, and just talk about what you talk about. Um, but so question for y'all, and then G, I saw you writing, so I'll get back to you too. What is more powerful? What's a more powerful source of water? The ocean or a fire hydrant?
It's the ocean because of mass.
Huh?
Isn't it the ocean because of the mass? Because the fire hydrant is only one flow of water coming directly from the source versus the ocean is a whole.
Okay. So the ocean is a mass. Fire hydrant is one source. Anybody else? What y'all think? We agree with Pizzle?
Yeah.
Yeah, I will agree. And the fire hydrant is more so like man-made to be able to get control of the ocean. You can't control that ocean, bro. The ocean's going to do what the ocean is going to do. That fire hydrant is only going to apply the pressure once it's basically commanded to do that.
Okay. So we got mass, one, control, and command. Go
And
ahead,
it
G.
isn't water from a fire hydrant. I mean, if you were to take the pressure from the ocean and condense it down to one small circle, wouldn't it be just as powerful as the fire hydrant? Because our fire hydrants, yeah, never mind. We'll talk about it later. 'Cause I don't think they're automatic. I think it's just the natural pressure from under the earth. When it squeezes through the small hole, it creates that pressure that comes out. If I'm not mistaken.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yeah, I honestly don't know.
Okay. So, G.
I was gonna say the ocean. Like the ocean literally crashed continents. Like the fire hydrant.
I
You feel me?
like it.
Yeah.
So, would you rather the typical usage, right? So the typical flow of the ocean, the typical flow of a fire hydrant. Would you rather stand right on the edge of the ocean or right in front of a fire hydrant?
Ocean.
Edge of the ocean.
Why?
Because that pressure, even though, like KP said, the
The
right
pressure.
there, right.
So what's more powerful is a fire hydrant. So where I'm going with this is, as I was listening to everybody speak and just said blinders, the power of having a focused routine. Because we all got routines and we all busy all day. Like I hear people say, like, I don't have the time. All right, first, what time you wake up? I wake up, I don't got to travel anymore to work, so I wake up at 8. What you do when you wake up? Brush my teeth and stuff. I get on my phone. I log into my meeting. All right, then I go to work. What you do during lunchtime? Oh, I chill out. I relax a little bit. I get to my call, and then what you do when you get off? Well, when I get off, I chill out for 30 minutes. I'm watching this Netflix joint. Then I go pick up my son, come back, make dinner. Then I chill out, go to sleep. Right? Yo, you did a lot of stuff, bro. You did a lot of stuff, but you didn't have a target. You didn't have a target. You spread all out, so you're putting a lot of pressure on a lot of things, right? So you don't really have a destination that you're pursuing. So when you make these routines, so you can be persistent and patient between accomplishing your big goals, like KG said, when you make them, you got to make sure that you're willing to put in the right amount of effort, which is more than usual if you're not where you're supposed to be at, and you got to have the right attitude, right? And you got to pay the cost, count the value, right? Oh, so if I want to start a business and I'm coming from a 9 to 5, I got to literally create more time. So instead of getting up at 8, now I'm up at 5. Now I got 21 extra hours a week. Well, during the week, I got 15 extra hours Monday through Friday to learn about business, right? Well, I gotta be more knowledgeable. Oh, well, maybe I should read. Well, what do I read? I'm not sure. I never really read before. I don't really know anybody. But what do you want to do? I want to be a motivational speaker. Yo, well, look up the best motivational speakers. Look up their books. Watch their podcasts. and just learn from them, and you'll start to follow down the rabbit hole. Oh, all right. Well, I also learned that the more fit you are, studies show that you're more likely to make more money, especially when you get in front of people. You're just gonna pull up like Just did. So now I got to be more fit. So in those extra 3 hours, I got so much more done. I counted the value. I got smarter, I got stronger, I got more knowledgeable, and I worked on my financial fitness and my business fitness in those extra 3 hours. And you can still bluff your life away with the rest of the day. Or now at lunchtime, well, I learned that most businesses they go out of businesses and they go out of business in 5 years. And I learned that businesses make $1 million. It literally it takes them about 10 years to get to that level. Then I noticed that the $1 billion businesses it takes about 30. So if I'm 30 and it's going to take me 30 years to hit my goal, I can't be dying when I'm 60. So I need to control what I can control. Oh, so I'm no longer hitting the hot dog stand out front because it's convenient. I'm gonna hit the delivery from Instacart on the weekends. I'm gonna start packing my lunch. So damn, maybe I gotta get up at 4:45, or maybe on Sunday instead of taking the rest day, I meal prep, so I can be here for that 30 years. And I'm 30, and when I'm 60, my son is gonna be 37. He'll be just in time to be the CEO. I gotta see my man shine, so I'm gonna need another 20 years, right? 57. Maybe I can see his little son get there. Right? I can see little Pizzle doing the photography, little KG in the lead, little G being the business consultant. My little brother, you already know who little G is, being a business consultant. Princess Ava building her castle, right? I need to be around for all of this, right? So now it's targeted. So then afterward, all right, on my ride, I know every Migos lyric. I know every 42 dog, 42 Doug, whatever, right? You ask any black person a music bar, they can give you a bar. Yo, can I get a bar from a book? A lot of us gonna be on mute. Oh, during that time, and we live in DC, we're gonna be sitting in traffic all the time. I'm gonna start reading in the car. Or I'm gonna go to YouTube University in the car. Right? And now, when my son or daughter get in the car, they don't really know that much music. So they might feel a little weak at school because they don't know the lyrics. Right? Oh, but now they got this business acumen. Oh, it's this lyric from this new rapper who local? Oh, let me see if it's trade. Oh, it's not trademark. I'm gonna start selling them shirts. Yo, why you stealing my idea? Yo, I got a trademark, bro. You can buy it from me. So now you a seventh grader coming up off of things because you listening to knowledge in the car instead of listening to music. Right? And then when you get home, what your son or your daughter eats is now different too, so they can be around. Right? So you have a target. Right? So the same amount of water, but it's being funneled to one area. You're not all over the place, right? So the key to this is your routine. And just highlighted this too. A lot of people have talent take them places where their character can't keep them. That's why I started off with Jamarcus Russell. Supposed to be the best quarterback prospect of all time. Can throw from the 50 on his behind through the goalposts. All right? He had the talent. He got a little bit of bread and a whole lot of drugs, and he couldn't keep it together. We see that over and over and over and over. And we all know other people talented in different areas that have nothing to do with athletics. But they flash it. Then it's gone. Flash it again. Then it's gone. They don't have the character to be able to maintain because they're going 5 days a week and only 40 hours for somebody else. And they're crying about the other hundreds of hours in a week that's up to them. All right. So what do? Like G said, find a mentor. So what kind of routine should I have? Don't look at no loser's routine. Find somebody successful. And what I noticed that helped me, all these successful people, there's no schedule. It's a daily routine, 7 days a week. Right? So the weekend is gone. The weekend just means no 9 to 5 work. Right? That's where the distance is. And just put pressure on yourself to do something. Like on the weekend, every week, we got to prepare for the workout. These podcasts don't just pop up. I'm actively looking at the world during my week because I know that on Sunday, from the voluntary pressure that I put on myself, and as do y'all from showing up, we gotta have something to rap about, you know. So I'm taking notes of everything, and I found them. Oh, they read, right? So I didn't personally speak for myself. I didn't really have somebody that I have a good enough relationship with that has the results that I seek to have a mentor. I know people who've done pretty good things, but I don't really like. I can reach out, but you know. That would just be like officially a mentor with like no relationship. But I don't think it's the strongest, but it is most definitely is value added. Failure is an opportunity. Of course. Failure is only failure when you try for the last time. When you try for the last time, it's over for you. But if you took the L, you took the L, you took the L, you took the L, those failures are not losses. They're lessons. But the key to all this, and this is for some of us, all of us on the call for real, you got to over deliver in all areas. Not just the ones where you're comfortable at. That includes the mental. That includes the physical. That includes the financial, the emotional, the spiritual. You cannot just over deliver in all areas. Because to be a whole person, you got to be whole. That's why we see all these people get this bread and they lose it. They wasn't financially fit. They wasn't financially fit. They wasn't prepared. Right? Or they're going crazy because they're not mentally fit. Or they got all these issues and they refuse to go to counseling. Whatever the case may be. So you have to over deliver in all areas, not just the ones where you're convenient. And to do this, like these things are often frowned upon, but people that get these big goals accomplished, they're obsessed and they're desperate. They're not regularly motivated. Like it's something that they have to do. It's something that they see, right? They are obsessed. They're desperate. They're not motivated. This is something that I have to do. I don't care how much I got to put in, how much time, how much money, where I got to go, when I got to do it. I'm going to do it because one day I'm going to flip over to the other side of those results. And lastly, once you get to that level to where you put in that kind of effort over the long run, there's a shift. And you start to think that you deserve the efforts that you're seeking. Right? When you're putting in that effort, you truly believe that you deserve what you're seeking, and then you'll put in even more. So if you're stuck, the first thing you have to do is change your routine, a completely new routine, because the one you have is not working. And 99% of this is going to be adding a bunch of things that you don't want to do and that you don't normally do with people that you don't normally be around, whether that's virtually or in person. And if you're not willing to change that, you want what you want, you don't need what you want. So it's got to get to a point of obsession. It's got to get to a point of desperation to where you change your routine. You know you can magically make more hours in a week just by being more strategic. You know, it's like magic, yo. Like you can really make more time. You know, now if you're already at that level to where you maxed out, that doesn't apply to you. You should probably make more time to cool out so you can maintain that pressure over the long run. But if you're not getting what you want, do some magic, make some more time. And when you make this routine, make sure you're making it from a place of desperation and obsession so that you can finally get those things that you've been seeking over the long run. So, closing comments from whoever, and we'll get out of here.
So, Malcolm, when you said that how important it was to have like focus, made me think of this song that I listen to all the time by Nipsey. It's called "Down as a Great." So his goal was to be one of the people that went down as the greatest. He said it. There's no focus in this world like the focus drive. You got to focus on yourself like an only child. You make your dream realer and you make your team better. You wake your game up and you make your scheme better. Right? Focus drive, focus on yourself. That will help to make your dream, your goals realer. In that process, yes, you have to make the people around you better as well. Those are the people that are going to keep you accountable. Those are the people that are going to help sharpen your knife. Iron sharpens iron. In that process, now your entire life, you have woken up, right? You literally changed your reality. That's how you wake your game up. And then the scheme is nothing but your approach. Your approach just gets better and better and better because now you're living in a different reality, right? So that's one way that I do use music. Nothing about the music that I decide to listen to, especially during workouts or in the process of driving or anything like that. It's either to calm me down, right? Kind of like music therapy, or it's to feed more of my passion, right? So I offer that to anyone who is a music buff, right? Not just to listen in a recreational way, but to also use it like books, right? To reinforce whatever your goals or whatever your focus is in life.
Anybody else? Good? All
Yeah, I
right.
think you said it all. You said it all.
All right, no doubt. So, persistence first, patience next. And make sure that you have a target. And if you don't know how to get there, start off by studying somebody else who's got there. More importantly, somebody who stayed there. Because a lot of people can get there, but few of them keep it. So, patience and persistence. See you next week. Peace out.